A very good evening to all our viewers. Welcome to this Monday's edition of the Evening Review. My name is Taiwan Jabela, your host. Let's look at some of the headlines in Tuesday's Namibian Sun. Transnamib says it is unmoved by threats of liquidation. There's a company called Challenge Air that has already succeeded in liquidating Air Namibia, and now they are baying for Transnamib. IPC leader Dr. Panduleni Tula meets President Gengop at State House, and they had a lively conversation around national issues, including comments by the president that the oil discovered in Namibia is not ours. And on a positive note, rain is still possible until mid-May, according to experts. That is some good news from a perspective of food security and everything that comes with that. So it's some good news. Tonight on the show, we are joined by veteran football administrator and former Secretary General of the Namibia Football Association, Barry Rukoro, to reflect basically on what he has been up to, what he has been investing his expertise in as far as football is concerned, and of course to reflect on some of the current issues happening in our football. Barry, welcome to the show. We appreciate your time.
Thank you so much, Toes, for having me on the show.
Wonderful. Yeah. So 2019, you left the Football Association, and we haven't heard much of you since then, except I think there was some letters, some opinion pieces that appeared in the press towards the end of last year, or was it early this year? But what have you been up to?
No, as I always tell people, you must always keep the door, the back door open.
Yeah.
And while I was a football administrator, Secretary General of the Football Association for so long, I was also a farmer. In fact, I was born in farming, and I've always been a farmer by nature. And when this thing happened, I just went back to the original setting.
Yeah,
yes.
Wonderful. You didn't leave the Football Association on a very peaceful note. We saw combis of police coming there to sort of usher you out of the building. Why did it have to come to that?
No, in fact, it was not. It was never supposed to happen in that manner.
Yeah.
It appeared as if I was there refusing to leave, and the police had to be summoned to remove me from office. That was never the case. And you will have noticed that one, because when I left, I left with my computer bag on my shoulder. That's the only thing. It means that everything from the pictures of my wife and the kids and everything was already removed, maybe 2 weeks before that. So I handed over an office devoid of all my personal belongings, which is a clear sign that I knew that this was coming to it. So, and I didn't want to leave anything of value and personal and of emotional value to me in the office. Thirdly, and which I thought is very important, I was of the opinion that, look, I'm a football person.
Yeah.
I love the game of football.
Yeah.
The game of football has treated me very well over the years. I have no grudge against football. And I thought that the normalization committee will be wise enough to realize that there are things that they needed to hear from me. And hence I hanged around. And I was ready to be tapped into for 2-3 hours, hand over the keys and walk, and continue and walk into my next life, which I have done, unpleasantly so. But somebody must have created a certain picture amongst the normalization committee, who then went to the police and thought that for us to remove this dinosaur from from football house. We need 2 combis of police.
Yeah.
But I've also looked at that from a lighter note, because my uncle always used to say, power perceived is power gained. So if somebody thinks that you need 2 combis of police to remove you, then that person really thinks you are very, very powerful. And you must accept that and move on.
Definitely.
Yeah.
But you see now, that is the challenge now, Barry, is that, you know, it's you remember even in politics, when we had people like President Pohamba, and certain things were going well, but people were still complaining that now this old man might just go. And I suppose because of the current economic climate, there are people who miss parts of that administration. In the same breath, it's exactly the same as football. There was a lot said about Barry. For over many years, now Barry must leave now, he has overstayed his welcome and all that. But I suppose because there were also a lot of things going well. Our football leagues were played, our national teams participated in international competitions. We had stadiums. Of course, they are not under the NFA. But now, since then, there are people who say, but we miss that aspect of Barry. Do you think there was a miscalculation also, that you were sometimes a victim of misplaced perceptions?
You see, you know, I have one big problem. You know, I arrive with a group of friends at a certain event, and all of a sudden there's somebody in the group that just don't like my guts. So it's natural to me. It comes natural. I've long ago forgotten about being in the business of being liked. So I'm not into that. For me, I've grown up having this challenge all my life. Maybe it's something, you know, with my smell or something. I don't know what it is. But what I say to people is, when I am into something, I do it with all the energy and commitment that I have. And if I fail, I will fail having done my best. So, of course, we had our challenges as a football association during the period that I was there. But we always try to do the job as honestly as possible. It is very difficult to run a football association in Namibia. You must have certain abilities and certain skills. You must make people pay for the things that you must do. If I want, for example, to play a friendly match, I will make Saudi Arabia pay for my friendly match against them. That's a skill. You must create a brand that is sought, and then go into the space where you can sell that brand, and so that you can save the association money. You must, you know, I used to tell my staff that we must make the dollar $1. We must pay with $1 twice or thrice, so that we can be able to do what we are doing. Because why? Because our football association is financially not as strong as other football associations. But what we can do is to create the brand that is needed. People must invite us for friendly matches so that we can prepare our team properly. And then when we have the opportunity, our national team must show that it is a worthy brand, and others must invite it further. So unfortunately, that is not what we are seeing at the moment. We are seeing a football association that is devoid of all imagination, that does not think outside the box as to how to do the same things that they need to do with money, without money.
Indeed. And that is the interesting part, Barry, because in 2019, that normalization committee came into being. It was installed by FIFA onto the association. It got you out. 3 years later, another normalization committee has been appointed, which seems to be driving out again people that are currently there. What is your understanding of these normalization committees?
No, I mean, the first day this happened, I said to everybody who cared to listen, I said to them that this is regime change.
Yeah.
This has nothing to do with Barry being corrupt, money being stolen, you know. There may have been irregular ways of how we conducted payments, but that does not amount to corruption. That does not amount to stealing money, you know, because everything that was spent could be reconciled, and the events were there. People traveled, or people received their payments. So, but because there was a need to use that corruption as a tool to remove and to create a regime change situation.
Yeah.
When you do that, look at, you know, I always give this example of Iraq, Afghanistan, Libya. When you create a regime change situation, particularly when it is foreign and forced, you have a situation where, you know, we have the chaos in Afghanistan, Iraq, and Libya now.
So stateless
and that is, and
country.
the NFA now. And that is precisely what happened. And I expected this to happen. I said it in the first week after the normalization committee was installed. I kept saying it to the people, who cared to listen. And I said to them that these people that we have in the new executive committee are people who have been in football all along. We knew their capabilities. We knew why they were coming in. So, and there was no chance. This thing was a stillborn baby. It was doomed to fail right from the start.
There's one thing that I never understood, Barry, and that is that there's so many things that happened at NFA over the past 3 years that resembled replaying an old tape. You didn't have the best of relations with Franz Mbidi, your president. Franco Cosmos fell out immediately with Ranga Ikali as president. And even Mbidi, before Mbidi, you also had presidents, I suppose, I think you were there for more than 10 years. But there's always this traditional conflict between the SG and president. Is it a matter of the way the system is set up, the structure is set up, and the reporting structure, or what is it that you can never just have a cordial relationship with your president?
It's a very valid question that you are raising there. One, it's because of the limitations that have been set there as to who can become secretary, executive committee member or president of the association. So you have only a group of people who are eligible to be voted into office as the bosses of the Secretary General. Now remember, the people who are elected to the executive committee are elected on the basis of popularity, not on the basis of capability. So most of these people will be normal human beings, normal citizens of this beautiful country of ours. Not professors, not doctors. They don't earn huge salaries where they work. They are maybe, some of them may be normal clerks receiving 10,000 Namibian dollars. And then he has to decide on the activities, and he's the boss of the Secretary General. Now this person will earn 70,000, 80,000 Namibian dollars. It already creates a problem there. He has to approve a salary of 80,000 Namibian dollars to this individual who, while he himself is earning only $10,000. Now imagine, you know, it's not in all cases,
Yeah.
you find real quality people, Dr. Galangi, Pasi Haingura, Franz Bidi himself, John Munyo. You know, we had real quality, you know, Kauta, for example, you know, we had real quality around the table. But at the same time, you also had people who were normal clerks earning $10,000. So and the kind of input, or normal primary school teacher, you know, coming to this table, you know, you will have those small conflicts all the time. And if you don't handle it well, it will escalate into something big, and then it affects the operations of the association, because the Secretary General and the President are such important portfolios in the Football Association, and cooperation is not even, should not be compromised in any way.
Indeed. We go for a quick break and then return with Barry Rukoro. We continue our conversation with former Secretary General of the Namibia Football Association, Barry Rukoro. Now, Barry, something that has happened at NFA, some people are calling it is the irony, others are saying it's karma, is that the normalization committee came in 2019, sort of got rid of you. One of the members of that committee, Mr. Franco Cosmos, became the Secretary General of the NFA. Now a new normalization committee has come in place and is sort of pushing him out of the way. I mean, what do you make of these developments as an outsider now observing football?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you know, it's one of my ethos is not to kick somebody when he's already down.
Yeah, yeah.
But of course, it's karma has a way of coming back and biting you at the back.
Yes.
When we were going through our small little arguments with the NFA at that time, with the normalization committee,
yeah.
We were trying to bring light to some of these things. And of course, Mr. Cosmos was one of the guys, he was actually a leader in the discussion, saying that no, they are not listening to anything. This man is done and dusted. He must go, he must leave office. There is no story, you know. When I traveled in my private capacity to watch the Brave Warriors in Zambia,
yeah.
Playing that last qualification match. After we qualified, I went into the dressing room, and Hilton Amunjembo came in there, actually kicked me out of the dressing room as well. And you know, these things as a way, you know, and I said to Hilda that day, you have a job to do, focus on that job. I just came here as a Namibian to support my team, and everybody, you know, there's no restriction on Barry Rukoro being former Secretary General, restricted to come to the national team. There's no restriction of that nature. Yeah. But of course, people took this thing very personal. When I went to the newspaper cup in Marinda, again, I was targeted there. You know, with one of your media colleagues also playing his part. So that's the kind of things that comes back to bite people. Now, a lot of people are looking at their shoes instead of looking people in the eye, because they were part and they believed this thing. Yeah. And I always tell people that don't blame me for telling you the truth. Blame the guy who told you, who made you believe the lie in the first place. So this has always been a false call. Yeah. And unfortunately, because of the way they felt at the time about me, they rather choose to believe what they were sold at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, karma has a way of coming back.
Yeah, in those articles, those newspaper articles that I alluded to earlier, you also had some sort of confrontation, if I can call it that way, with the progressive forces. You know, it was a back and forth conversation. I think you wrote one and then they responded twice or something like that. I can't remember. But it was again about, if I remember, your articles were about the statutes of NFA and how things should be done in accordance with those. If you can refresh my viewers just with bring them up to speed what you were trying to say in those articles.
No, of course, what I said in in the article that I wrote was that there's a lot of unconstitutional things happening and being allowed to happen.
Yeah.
Of course, they drew their strength from the fact that they did an unconstitutional thing by removing the NPL without any proper process having taken place and found them guilty. And because the NPL ran into money issues, going to cars in Switzerland and so on, they thought that, of course, they are strong, and they continue to break more and more rules because they became a law unto themselves. One of the things that I tried to raise with them was the issue that the Secretary General has no power to call an executive committee meeting unless instructed by the president. And whatever decisions are taken in that executive committee is an illegal process, is an illegal decision. It cannot suffice, it cannot happen. And even now, as I'm sitting here, FIFA has, I'm of the opinion that FIFA has found an easy way out. FIFA, in fact, FIFA should have nullified the Congress that fired the executive committee. But because they see it as a way out of this chaos, they, in very small words, kind of accept that the executive committee is fired. But in fact, if somebody with money will have taken this thing to any arbitration tribunal, the arbitration tribunal will have ruled that Congress null and void and reinstate the executive. But unfortunately, it served no purpose to reinstate that executive anyway, because they themselves thought and believed that they are not fit to run the association, and instigated and organized that Congress that unset them. That is something beyond my mind. But anyway, it happened.
So then the with this new executive normalization committee, again, I suppose it also qualifies as a regime change coming on now, taking over the association. I mean, what is our way out? I mean, look, administration of football is one thing, but an administration that does not result in the actual playing of football on a turf is essentially a useless administration.
Of course.
What is it that we must do to start having football in this country? Not our matches played, not our national matches played in South Africa, not our league non-existent. Now, even what is the future of the new league that was being the NFP, the one with a long name, versus NPL, for example? I mean, how do you see the way forward panning out?
No, there's a very simple way. You know, football, there's one thing about football that you must always understand. Even when you organize a tournament and you have a lot of problems, the venue is not right, the referees are not, all of them are not committed and whatever, just start the first match. Start the first match. The second match will follow automatically, and the third and the fourth, and and the football will run. Just start that first match. So my advice to the incoming normalization committee, which I think is really an upgrade on the old one in terms of all the things, is get football people to help you to start football within the next 10 weeks. Let football start. And then you will have enough time to concentrate on the politics, the administration, and the management, the audits and of the association. While everybody's focus is on the game.
Yeah.
That, buy yourself, be smart and buy yourself time by starting the game. You are coming in with so much goodwill. Government wants you. The people wants you. FIFA wants you. So capitalize on that goodwill and get the money. The sponsors, I'm sure they are relieved. Go to MTC, Namibia, Dep Marine, these people, the FNB, Standard Bank, and talk to them that you want to start football in the next 10 weeks.
Yes.
Get people, 3, 4, 5 people under you as a subcommittee, as a football subcommittee that will focus on football being played in 10 weeks from now. And then you have all the time in the world to now review the constitutions and do the audits and look at the staff component at the NFA and so on, and look at the regional elections and so on, because they will need to redo the regional elections, because what we have now is the extensions of the progressive forces. Unless they touch that, they will get nothing right.
Now, in conclusion, Barry, in politics, when a wise statesman is retiring, we see Thabo Mbeki in South Africa. He's still called to mediate in conflicts and all that, because he is seen as a reservoir of wisdom. You have left the football scene with so much understanding of the game, especially from an administrative point of view. What are you going to do with that? Must we summon you back in the future in some capacities, or are you going to your grave with so much that you have right now?
It all depends on the amount of goodwill.
Yes.
I'm not sure whether it is the right word. And desire, that desire to want to really get this thing off the ground. Of course, I have done my time as Secretary General of the Football Association. I think my interest does not lie there. My interest is really advising, if possible consulting. I have committed myself to other operations there in Omaheke, and I don't think I can become full-time ever again. So for me, it is I'm a football person. I love this game. This game has given me so much. I grew up in this game. I will never say no to this game, particularly not in when it is a consulting arrangement. For me, I'm ready, ever ready.
Indeed. Thank you, Kwepa, man.
Yeah,
thank you for coming.
yes.
Yeah, that is Barry Rukoro. He's former Secretary General of NFA, filling us in on his thoughts about the game of football in the country. Thank you for watching, and good night.